Hello everyone, we're going to be watching Analogue 3D review. It's pretty much a modded version of an N64, so we're going to take a look at it. Here we go. DK.
The Analogue 3D is finally here. It is real. It is hooked up to my 65-inch 4K television right now. And if you're as excited as the N64 kid on Christmas morning 1996, you probably want me to stop with this labored introduction and get right into telling you all about this FPGA-powered modern Nintendo 64. Is it really 4K? Are the scan lines as good as we hoped? How's the lag? Is Donkey Kong 64 really as bad as people say? The answer is yes, yes, great, and of course not. DK64 rules. Before I break down what makes this the latest must-have retro gaming hardware from the fine folks at Analogue, let's take a look at what you can expect when it arrives at your door.
Walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah!
In addition to making life easier on retro gamers who want to play their original cartridges on modern equipment, Analogue has made a name for itself through its gorgeous industrial design. The design borrows heavily from the lines of the original Nintendo 64, but in a more modern, subdued profile. It immediately triggers a familiar nostalgia while also fitting in with a modern gaming setup. Inside the box is the Analogue 3D itself, a 4K HDMI cable, 30-watt USB-C plug, and a 16GB SD card with the Analogue's 3D OS pre-installed. There are 4 controller ports along the front, capable of handling any N64 controller you can imagine. Almost. The Nintendo Switch Online N64 controller doesn't pair with the Analogue 3D, which isn't a huge problem since I have my OG Atomic Purple corded controller. Analogue says any original Nintendo 64 controller will work. I haven't tested the Mad Cats that Grandma got me that one terrible Christmas morning. The same holds true for Nintendo 64 accessories like Rumble Packs. Stuff like the Memory Pack and the Nintendo 64 Expansion Pack, which you may remember was required on the original N64 to play games like Donkey Kong 64, are built into the hardware, so you don't need them anymore, and the Analogue 3D gives you the option to toggle it on or off for compatible games. Bluetooth controllers are a snap to sync. The LED on the front that displays power and error codes also activates Bluetooth pairing with a quick press. Another small but excellent detail I love here is each controller port has an LED on it that lights up when you've paired a controller, so you can see instantly who is geared up for a round or 2 or 70 of GoldenEye multiplayer. Another feature Analogue is touting is the introduction of its 3D OS. It tracks your game library, so every time you plug in a cart, the Analogue 3D recognizes it, gives you basic information about it, and keeps track of it in the library part of the interface. Where things really open up is the rest of the interface, allowing you to adjust settings at a level that's equal parts daunting and exciting. The part of my brain that loves to tinker and fine-tune is awash with dopamine inside of these menus. There are too many options to list here, so I'll go over the biggest ones. On the home screen, pressing the R button gives you the display options to output in 4K or 1080p, with both options available in 60Hz for NTSC or 50Hz for PAL. The display mode menu is where things get wild. This is where all those gorgeous filters live. And if you thought it was going to be as easy as an on-off toggle for scan lines, you have wildly underestimated the Analogue 3D. Right now, there are 5 separate submenus for 5 separate display modes: BVM, PVM, CRT, scan lines, and clean. The BVM and PVM options give you a reasonable approximation of what it's like playing N64 on a professional monitor, the kind, all those TV stations threw out or gave away for free when they switched to digital. The CRT version will look familiar to pretty much everyone, and the scanlines option is kind of like CRT Lite. Clean removes all filters and gives you all the sharp pixel edges that can fit on your 4K display. Inside each display option is a menu further letting you tweak how you want your games to look. There are separate adjustments for horizontal and vertical beam convergence. This is getting into real CRT enthusiast territory now, and it is way over my head. I don't notice a major difference when I make adjustments to these settings, but I know there are people out there who have encyclopedic knowledge levels of how cathode ray tubes work, and for those folks, this is just another awesome option to tweak things to their exact specifications. However, I did find with the right combination of cinema zoom and integer plus image size, you can force a pretty decent 16:9 experience on your display without it looking all gross and stretchy and weird. Pretty neat to see these old games in widescreen, but since almost all of the important menus and things like score and life bar are designed with 4:3 in mind, it's not an ideal way to play. That being said, I think I could probably get used to it. All of these settings are going to be highly subjective. Further, they're also deeply dependent on the games themselves. I found what looks good to me in GoldenEye doesn't do the trick in F-Zero X. Thankfully, you can make these adjustments on a per game basis. So once you dial in your preferred settings, you don't need to revisit them when you pop in another cart. The promise of the Analogue 3D is it allows you to play your original games as you remember them, and I'm happy to say it almost nailed it. Even with the best gaming display around, it's never gonna match the instantaneous response you get with a CRT. But man, it is damn admirable and much better than the emulation on Nintendo Switch Online plus Expansion Pass. The difference is barely there, but it's there. Where the responsiveness really shines, for me at least, was in F-Zero X. First of all, the NSO emulated version doesn't respond or perform well at all. It's good enough, but I find F-Zero X on NSO to be pretty much unplayable. But on the Analogue 3D, it is an absolute pleasure. It runs as smoothly as you remember, and I was actually able to control my racer competently and win the Jack Cup. I found this task basically impossible on NSO, and competing via the Analogue 3D on my 65-inch screen and having it look and run as good as it does is an absolute thrill.
All right, first place.
Every other game I tested, from Donkey Kong 64 to Super Mario 64, Jet Force Gemini to WrestleMania 2000, looked and felt awesome once I was able to dial in all the display settings to my liking. The scanline filters do an excellent job approximating the look of an original analog tube display, but one problem I ran into is noticeable combing. Initially, I didn't see it at all as I was playing the games with the filters turned on. It wasn't until I tried capturing video using the clean display mode that I first caught it. It is especially noticeable during the dancing N64 logo at the start of Donkey Kong 64. The rotating Rare logo also shows these artifacts. That said, with the filters turned on, you might not even notice it at all. And it is definitely not ever present. If you're trying to use the Analogue 3D as your go-to device to capture or stream N64 carts, it might be an issue. If you're using your Analogue 3D to revisit your library of classic games on your modern TV, honestly, it's barely worth mentioning. Still, it is the only real complaint I have on what is otherwise an excellent machine.
Here we go.
The Analogue 3D is the best possible way to play your N64 library outside the original hardware hooked up to a CRT. Its refined industrial design makes it an attractive modern addition to your gaming setup, and the massive flexibility afforded by its bountiful filters and display options lets you fine-tune the visuals to fit your exacting personal specifications. This is an FPGA machine built with the hardcore enthusiast in mind and gives new life to a system that's notoriously difficult to accurately emulate. That being said, the combing is a bummer, especially for something aimed at such a specific audience of old head video game nerds. But if you long for the days of the N64 and want to bring them back without having to sacrifice the modern amenities of your giant screen 4K television, there is no better option out there right now.
Come on, Cranky, take it to the fridge.
For more retro gaming goodness, check out my review of the Analogue Pocket. And for everything else, keep it right here on IGN.
Alright, so I'm looking forward to this. I really want to test it out and play, but I would just use my Switch because, you know, it's just more easier and convenient. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you want to watch the original videos in the description, check out my sources as well. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.